Breslin keeping you company on Around the Northwest. Now, history has been made with the historic Donegal steam engine, Drumbo, installed at the Donegal Railway Heritage Museum in Donegal Town. And it's quite a milestone for not just the museum, but for the county, because this is the first original Donegal steam engine returned to the county in many decades. And the manager there, Niall McCaughan, now joins us. We're streaming as well on YouTube and Facebook. Now, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Glad to be here.
This is an historic engine in a number of different ways, but in particular, this was the last train to run here in Donegal. Is that correct?
Yes, it was actually. Drumbo was the very last engine in the 31st of December 1959. The very last train left was Drumbo from Donegal town station here to go through Stranraer and end up in Strabane, and that was the very last official steam train to run. There was some trains running in January, but that was more lifting line and that sort of thing anyway. But this engine is quite an historic one, and to have that engine back here on site particularly is gratifying for us just to have it back here.
There wouldn't have been much of a fanfare, would there, at the time? Was it a case where it just sort of faded out? Now, there was a lot of fuss when it arrived back here. Was it towards the tail end of last year, which was great. But when it was leaving, when it was sort of exiting for the last time, would there have been much of a fuss back then in '59?
I think people were shocked to hear that from looking at the newspaper articles and talking to people, I think people just thought it was a terrible decision. And this decision, of course, wasn't made locally. It was made for the field in Dublin. And there's always been this feeling, I suppose Donegal been up in the sticks, that there's been underinvestment. And this was at the time seen as another Niall McCaughan in relation to investment in the Northwest, and had a massive impact. And in fact, I think people were very emotional too. And we have photographs of people at the send-off here at Donegal Town and then at Strabane and whatever, and people were really shocked. And because it was, it was used for everybody, not only for tourists, but for going to school, for commerce, for just getting about generally. And it went all over Donegal. And of course, at that time, the government promised that they were going to install a lot of new infrastructure and new roads, but that didn't happen, as you know, until quite recently. And that, it had quite a major effect whenever the trains went. And I think people were very emotional about it at the time. And the one thing, John, we were surprised at is whenever we took the train back quickly on its return journey on a low loader and took it back to the station. Mm-hmm. There might be more older people coming out who are very emotional about it, saying that they never thought they'd actually see an original Donegal steam engine back here on site. And I have to say, it was kind of taken back a bit by it. And we had people in tears, whatever, and saying they never thought to see a big red steam engine here back on site. So I have to say, it's just been great. And we do have lots of people who come in, and we had our official opening last week, and that was the same thing, as people just were delighted to see the return of an original steam engine from the county.
So those older people that you refer would have remembered the railway when it was here in Donegal, and now that there's an original train back, they're delighted, and it's a bit of a surprise.
It is, and we're getting people coming from near and far. There was a lot of coverage at the time, both locally and nationally, and also internationally in relation to it. The Donegal Railways, I've said, John, before, were unique. It was the largest narrow gauge on these islands. Plus, also, the Donegal network was one of the first, globally, one of the first networks to have a combustion engine, that is a non-steam engine on tracks. And that's amazing. When I heard that fact, I kind of went, you're right, and that's what it was, whatever. So it's quite famous globally, but it's only now that I suppose we're kind of, railway tourism has taken off massively across Europe and further afield, but it's only now we're saying, God, there's a major opportunity to develop this further. This museum has been here for a number of years, but it had to go through kind of a change over the last few years to kind of bring it up to date, and that's what we have done. And Drumbo is certainly the showpiece, but as you might have remembered too, in the last few weeks we got installed, I got funding through the Heritage Council, and we got funding to install Ireland's first interactive steam cab, and that's for kids and adults, and it gives you sensation, but also it's an educational tune. And that was important because we wanted really to have something for younger ones and also older ones, but also something to give people the sensation of traveling in the same train. But in relation to Drumbo, was particularly leader through DLCD that brought funding in, and then also Henry Forbes, who introduced the combustion engine, his grandson Graham made a donation, and that kind of got the ball rolling. And then with public funding and different things, it was great to make that happen and at it. And I was saying at the time too, last week at opening, it was part of a journey for us, but the journey hasn't stopped, and we actually do have a phase 2. The phase 2 is actually more ambitious, and that is to run some Donegal stock near Donegal town. So the next thing we're going to look at is getting funding to do a feasibility study, to look at options and look at locations, and we're quite serious about it. But I felt that we needed to get the first phase, to get a steam engine back on site, to get people to come and say, God, we're serious about this. And people keep asking about, wouldn't it be great to have either a steam engine or a rail car running locally to the town somewhere. So it's something that we pitched to the politicians last week, and we're now, I suppose, getting people talking about it to take it on to the next phase.
So if it was to happen, would it be Drumbo?
Possibly, because Drumbo actually has been restored more or less operational order. The entire train, the only bit that has not been restored is the boiler, because whenever you restore the boiler, you get a 10-year certificate. It has to be pressure tested, and that counts down as soon as you get it. And to get that certificate costs about 100,000. So what we will do is, if Drumbo does go into steam, and it could go back into steam, then we would return the steam engine up just to get that the boiler sorted. But that's an option. Drumbo is an obvious thing, but also possibly a rail car too. And we have been talking to people about that, about the possibility of running a rail car or something else, or another bit of narrow gauge. And there are lots of options and locations where we'd love to run it. And there's lots of suggestions, of course, but you have to work around funding, and then timelines, and planning, and farmers and different things. So,
but at least it's being considered.
Yeah, it is considered at the moment. And now, I said, people are returning to the museum here, and I think a lot of people are shocked and really surprised about the transformation. I mean, really, it's now, I mean, I was talking to somebody kind of this morning about it, saying, look, it's now become one of the wee hidden gems in Donegal, but it's actually, we're getting great reviews on Google and TripAdvisor, superb reviews continually now. And we're actually coming to one of the must-see if you come to Donegal town. Like, we're open nearly 365 days a year, and and we cater now for all age groups. And just because of the new Drumbo, the interactive signage, the new interpretive signage, and also we've got a ride on rail, which for kids a smaller thing, which are run during the summer, and other things. And just now, people certainly are coming back, and visitors are too. And I encourage people, if they're interested. We're only 300 meters or 300 feet from the town centre, from the diamond, only just below Donegal Castle. Quite easy to get to, and we're open now at the moment to Saturday most days, and then after September, we're open 6 days a week. But as I said, people seem to enjoy it, and our staff are very good too, because they're an important part of it too, who go around and chat to them. And lots of people are coming back, both locals and also visitors too, nationally and internationally.
It's only a hop and a skip from the diamond on foot, and
yes.
It's great. It's great for railway heritage, and it's also great for Donegal town. And there's, I mean, you wouldn't be getting all those positive reviews if there wasn't plenty to see and do there.
No, there is, and I said that's deliberately we've done that, because a few years ago it would have been geared towards mainly older people, and we decided really particularly to focus on families too. So we've a lot of stuff for families to keep them entertained. We've got wee quizzes for kids. We've got the interactive sea cab. We've got a ride on rail, and we've other bits and pieces, models and all too. So really trying to cater for everybody, but also telling that unique story. And I have to say, John, it's for the entire county. It's not simply the county Donegal. We also do a lot on the Swilly, and we brought out earlier this year a new book about the Swilly. And we'll cover the Swilly, the County Donegal, and also the GNR. And in fact, this year's badge, which we've just, we do a badge each year, and this year is actually a Swilly engine. I was looking to see if I had one to show you, but Exhibit A, we have if people can see a wee Swilly engine there, green one. So we do those. So we do one each year or whatever, So it's for the entire, and there was, from Carndona down to Petticoat to Killybegs, right across to Stranraer, and then of course into Strabane and to the north a wee bit too, and Derry.
You're even involved in the food festival this weekend. What's happening there?
Well, we're doing something a bit different. It's always one of my ambitions that we try and use these. We have unique spaces here that are available for hire, and we've had meetings and group seasoning for training and meetings and one thing and another. But I always thought it would be great if we could do something like an Orient Express high dinner thing. So I would talk to the chamber actually a year or two ago about this and others. But Mary from the chamber contacted me to say they'd actually love to do it. So that's on tomorrow night, and it's going to be done up. The carriage is going to be decorated like it would have been a high class,
like the Orient Express.
It is Orient Express, and I have to say they've got a fantastic food menu. And I think what really surprised the chamber, who are doing great work with it, I have to say they've got a great range of events over the weekends. You go on and check on their website and Facebook. But they advertised it, not sure how it would go, and it sold out within 3 hours. I mean, phenomenal. You know? And one of the things, so, that's what we want to do, John, is introduce to have unusual events here. And I think that's an obvious one. Some people are dressing up and there's going to be singing outside or whatever. So sadly, there's no tickets available, but maybe the next time they do it, they might do more than one night or whatever,
It's great, and I can see why it's captured the imagination of something a bit different. Well, listen, continued success over there at the Donegal Railway Heritage Museum, and Niall, and keep in touch. And as there's developments along the way, no doubt we'll be in touch. Thanks, Niall.
Wait, thank you for that. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.